If you're in the market for a watch with that incredible Rolex build quality that we know and love, but want something that's a little bit different from its counterparts, that's still steeped in history, and has that versatility for every day, then we have something for you. The Rolex Air King. And this is the Xupes review. So guys, in this review today of the Air King from Rolex, we're going to have a look at its design, why it was so popular with pilots in the early days, and why it's almost the black sheep of the Rolex family, but I think unfairly. So let's get into it. I'm humbled today to be presenting the Air King to you because being in the UK, we have a very special connection with this particular reference from Rolex. And we've actually just commemorated the anniversary of the ending of World War II. And this watch was actually launched in 1945 in honor of the pilots and the airmen of World War II. As we know with Rolex, we've got a heritage that has a very British feel to it. We've got Hans Wilsdorf, the founder, who was indeed located in London when he started the business. We then have an Air King, which sits in its own world of aviation. When you look at the families from Rolex, we've got the Submariner for the sea, we've got the Air King for the air, and it really does connect with the audience that it's wanting to appeal to. And that being said, as well as the different worlds that all of the Rolex families live in, they're all tools at the end of the day. So the Air King was incredibly popular when it launched with pilots, and the reason that it was popular was that it's incredibly simple, it's very legible, it's incredibly robust, and the Air King has never and will never have any complications to it. What's really important to note is, like every reference from Rolex, very little has changed over the years. It's very much been iteration and not revolution when it comes to design and functionality. It's also important to note that back in 1945, when this watch was first presented, it was a larger watch. It was designed to be visible in the cockpit, over the cuff maybe of a flight jacket. And now it would probably be considered to be one of the smaller case sizes that we tend to recognize. But as a result, there's a great deal of charm and versatility that comes with that. There are two significant cultural links that I'd like to make about the Air King. The first is that the early cases that were 34mm in stainless steel for the 5500 were the same as the Explorer reference. So for a watch geek like me, that's something really special that very few people appreciate about the links between the different models in the Rolex family. The other is more of a cultural one, and that we see an interesting group of individuals choosing the Air King. I would say a more understated, a more interesting choice than more of an obvious choice from some of the watches that Rolex produce. But we've got Mr. Ryan Gosling, who wore the watch at the Golden Globes, and it wasn't that he was paid to wear the watch, but he really wore the watch because it was a special item to him. The reference we have here today is the Rolex Air King 114234. It's a beautiful 34mm stainless steel case. It has that wearability to be both male and female focused. And beyond that, it is the most beautiful, simple, elegant tool watch that money can buy. While all Air Kings are born simple, we see that here in the most beautiful way. We have the Rolex Crown at 12 and we have the 6 o'clock, which are the only variations that break up and give balance to this beautiful orange array that we see on the dial. We also have my personal favorite finish, this brushed stainless steel finish on the bracelet. We've got a polished oyster case with a screw down crown. So not only is it made for the skies, but it's also versatile in the sea. And to be honest, in a concluding point, I'm just really surprised that the watch isn't more popular than it is. The Air King was in fact discontinued in 2014, only to be brought back in 2016, but unfortunately it was brought back at the same time as the very first ceramic Daytona. So as you'd imagine, its fanfare was somewhat quelled in the midst of such a classic. So the most recent variation of the Air King is actually 40mm, so considerably different to the original 34mm. And for me, all that does is actually generate a greater depth of appreciation for some of these smaller cases. So to conclude, we have to touch on price. This reference is from 2016, and it's available on the website now for £5,999. And I think it's a really interesting choice. It's less obvious, but you can sleep well at night in the knowledge that it is also, like every Rolex, a wonderful value proposition. Whether you're a pilot or just a fan of Ryan Gosling, this is the watch that you need to consider. It delivers on every level. So guys, thank you very much as always. I do hope that I've been able to shine some light on the Air King and make it one that you would consider now. As always, do let me know what you think of this particular reference below. And of course, which Air King you would choose from the back catalogue. Do click the subscribe button and always hit the bell if you'd like to be notified of our latest videos. But until next time, go well.